The Claire Byrne Show on Newstalk.
With Aviva Insurance.
Two stories we want to talk about from the United States. The disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, and also, of course, the release of the Epstein files. I'm joined now by Chief Correspondent with Feature Story News, Simon Marks. Hello, Simon.
Good morning, Claire. How are you?
I'm very well. So let's talk about Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, firstly. And tell us about who Savannah is, and then we'll get to what is suspected has happened to her mother.
Well, so Savannah Guthrie is one of the most prominent stars on American network television. She's one of the hosts of the Today programme on NBC. And there isn't much these days in American media that sort of serves as a convening place where Americans can enjoy a sort of a common shared experience. But the Today Show on NBC is America's leading breakfast television programme in terms of ratings and reach by a very long chalk. And so Savannah Guthrie has been a prominent personality beaming into Americans' homes at breakfast time, and also a prominent personality within the NBC News family more broadly. She hosted a town hall meeting with President Trump during the last election campaign that secured massive audiences across NBC on air and also, of course, online. Her 84-year-old mother, Nancy, disappeared at some point between Saturday night and late Sunday. The alarm was initially raised by fellow worshippers at her local church in Arizona, and it quickly became apparent that something nefarious had taken place. Police say that they believe that Nancy Guthrie, who's 84 years old and not in the greatest of health, that her house was broken into. It appears that the camera, the entry doorbell camera had been removed, possibly by whoever broke into the home. There are conflicting reports about blood being found either inside the home or outside it or both. But police certainly say that the house in Arizona is, as far as they are concerned, a crime scene. And there are reports that some sort of a ransom note has been received by police relating to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. But certainly as of last night, they were at an absolute loss, at least publicly, to indicate what they thought in detail had happened to her or where she might be now.
And Savannah is off air, was certainly off air yesterday. She's due to host the Winter Olympics opening ceremony this week as well. But clearly what has happened to her mother and this investigation is taking precedence over all of that.
Yeah, she's actually now dropped out of NBC's Winter Olympics presentation entirely, which, of course, is completely understandable because she wants to focus on any assistance that she can render in the hunt for her mother and also, of course, deal with what is a significant family crisis. Nancy Guthrie relies on medication, and it is unclear whether she was able to take her medicines with her wherever she was taken when she appears to have been captured. It is said that if she doesn't get that medication on a regular basis, she is at risk of death. She's also very uneasy on her feet, unsteady on her feet. She requires a walking stick. So there are pleas for witnesses to what might have happened in that residential street. Did anybody see anything? Was she taken away in a vehicle? Were there people loitering on the street beforehand? They're trying, of course, to get the video footage relating to that doorbell camera, which might offer further clues. But it is at this point still a significant mystery.
Now, we also want to talk to you, Simon, about the ongoing fallout from the release of the Epstein files, because we know that millions of pages of documents were released on Friday night. Donald Trump wants us all to move on. That's not happening, though, is it?
It's definitely not happening, and there's no indication that that is going to be possible, given that we know that while the government released 3 million documents last Friday, there appear to be another 2 or 3 million documents that they have withheld. They say because of the legal requirement to protect victims. They also say because of the legal need to protect ongoing investigations sparked by information that they say is still coming into the Department of Justice about Mr. Epstein. I mean, Donald Trump has claimed absolution. He says that the documents released last Friday absolve him, and they certainly create more difficulties for other prominent Americans and, as we know, other prominent people around the world than they appear to create for President Trump. But there are still unexplained items in those files, including a summary that prosecutors put together of tips furnished to the Department of Justice by members of the public alleging criminal activity by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, we don't know from that cache of documents whether those allegations were investigated and found not to be credible. We don't know why prosecutors put that summary sheet together. So there is considerable interest in that particular piece of paper, but also pressure coming from Democrats and some Republicans for all the files to be put now into the public domain, as the law would appear to require. But the government does find itself in a complicated situation, given that the law also requires it to protect the rights of the victims and survivors of Epstein's crimes, many of whom are saying that even in last Friday's release, their personal information was compromised.
I'm sure those calls, though, to have the remaining documents released will be echoed on this side of the Atlantic as well. We had George Parker on the programme yesterday from the Financial Times. You know, he's been around for quite some time. And he said he hasn't seen a political scandal like this one. He can't remember in his entire career that Peter Mandelson now stands accused of releasing this highly sensitive government information to Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, it's extraordinary the extent to which this has completely washed away the last vestiges of Peter Mandelson's own career and standing, certainly in the UK. It also raises fresh questions for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, with the British authorities, the Prime Minister in the UK now saying that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor should testify before Congress. The next big date in the diary here is February the 26th, because we now know that the Clintons, plural, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, will be testifying. They will be deposed by the House Oversight Committee on camera, after months of insisting that they weren't going to cooperate with this investigation, faced with the possibility of contempt of Congress charges and possibly jail sentences. The former president and his wife reversed course within the last 36 hours. So Hillary Clinton up on Capitol Hill on February the 26th, Bill Clinton up on Capitol Hill on February 27th. Both, of course, deny any wrongdoing in terms of their dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. But that is going to be an extraordinary event here in Washington when the former president is brought before that committee to tell both Republicans and Democrats what he knew about the disgraced and deceased sex trafficking financier.
Simon, thank you for bringing us up to speed. Simon Marks there, a feature story news with all the latest from the United States.